Hey everyone, I hope you're well. Today we'll be looking at all of the Deadlock heroes, explaining what their playstyle is and some cool combos you can do with them so that you get a greater idea of how to use each and every hero in the game, because just understanding their abilities sometimes isn't enough. Most heroes in this game have combos that can be used to get some pretty devastating effects. You also have different sort of characters that can build for certain situations. Some heroes are good for initiating fights, some are good for sort of ganking other lanes and assassinating. Others are sort of like more support roles and can be built into being more tanky. And you gotta learn like how characters can be and how you use their abilities to sort of fit that role that they're supposed to play. So we're going to go through all of these characters and explain what their abilities do and how to sort of combo the abilities and what use cases there are with the abilities available. So we're going to start with Bebop, who I think is one of the most ridiculously strong characters for new players. So there are 4 abilities for Bebop, right? This is the first ability. It's called Exploding Uppercut, and it pretty much explains what it does, right? It's an exploding uppercut, but the important part is, when you uppercut them, right, you'll actually be able to knock them back and deal damage in an area around them. So the whole idea is you want to kind of uppercut them into the enemy team, and that can cause some pretty devastating effects, especially when you combine it with the mine. Now, if you are close enough, you can throw a mine on a target, and then that circle will get smaller and smaller and smaller. You'll hear that sound effect. When the mine goes off, it will explode. And this is the first combo that I'm talking about here. You can mine someone and then uppercut them into the enemy team, and then kablam, you're going to do damage to that guy, everyone in the area. You got area of effect damage on the uppercut, you have the mine area of effect damage, and it only gets crazier when you go like this. Like, here's the thing, the mine doesn't work until you're really close. So you get the next ability, which is a grappling hook. You can pull in an enemy, mine them, and then throw them into the team, right? That combo is absolutely ridiculous. You have a 3 ability combo, which is really crazy. Now, I've got some other interesting things to talk about this character before we move on. First things first, this ability here, if you're building for it, it can be really strong. It can do a lot of sustained damage over a lot of time, and it's going to be pretty useful when you're destroying the towers or just trying to deal damage from a distance to knock players that may be sort of taking a lot of damage from your teammates. And an important part of this ability is it kind of works well because the primary weapon for Bebop is a hit scan laser beam. Trouble is, it has a pretty short distance. Take a note how I'm not doing damage here. I have to get this close before I can do this damage, which is really important. And on top of that, there is a sort of charging time before it fires. And this can be a problem when you're trying to last hit minions. So take a look at this, right? Let's say you're trying to last hit this guy, and then you want to secure the soul. Well, now, if you let go, you then have to charge it up again, which means you sort of have to go like this, hold it down, and then go like that. Or make sure you're close enough to melee them. So keep that in mind when you're laning with this character, that you are going to sort of need to be aware of the fact that if you stop firing, you're probably going to have your soul stolen by the enemy team. So there's another thing that's really, really crazy about Bebop. The more mines you stick on players, the more damage it will do. Right now it's +2. So when we hit another enemy here, it now will go to +5. It's 2.5% extra damage every time you hit an enemy. So basically, you want to spam this ability as much as you can, even if it's not going to kill an enemy. And you can potentially build for cooldown, although the cooldown is pretty short anyway. And the first upgrade gives -8 cooldown, so it can get pretty crazy. The more you use this, the stronger it's going to be late game. It's going to absolutely devastate people. So a really, really cool hero here. Next, we have Dynamo. Now, Dynamo is a hero that is all about getting up in people's faces and causing explosive damage and just annihilating players. If you have a good start in lane with Dynamo, you can really just go and cause a lot of terror to everyone else on the map. But to do that, you're going to need to be pretty close. You're going to want to sort of play close instead of a far distance with Dynamo, because this this gun rather, has a bit more sort of bullet travel time, and the abilities are really focused on like up close. So really you want to play up close, and then when you get into a fight you can use your first ability. This is the kind of the one you want to be upgrading as much as possible. When you do this, it knocks a player in the air, right? And that can do a lot of things. Their movement is slowed for 40% for 4 seconds to start with, which basically means it's just a great initiator. It's a great initiator. It's a great tool to bully your enemies whilst you're in the laning phase, and it's just going to cause a lot of problems. It's like the ultimate initiator. Let's say you got your enemy's health low, right? You've done a bit of damage on them. You just go in with this, and then kablam. Now, remember, there's a lot of combos, right? There are a lot of combos with Dynamo. So one of the combos here is that you can use this ability, which actually lets you sort of teleport forwards. It's not far, but you can teleport forwards, right? And then do the shockwave attack, right? Which is really cool. And on top of that, the ultimate is sort of like, it's just sucks everybody in and does a good old lot of damage. This is a really powerful initiation tool that can start team fights or just detonate on people and do a lot of crazy stuff. It's probably one of the best and easiest initiation tools in the game. So you want to be up close, you want to be aggressive with Dynamo, and try and get a lead in souls so that you can keep just pushing pressure on people. There's also a really important item that I would say you would always want to build with Dynamo as soon as you can. Well, kind of in the mid stage of the game. It's called Warp Stone. What Warp Stone is going to allow you to do is to teleport. And that's important because if you're going to be initiating fights a lot, you're going to be sort of teleporting in and then doing your attack like this. You may want to teleport out, and that's where this Warp Stone comes in handy, right? You can teleport out. It's basically like pretty much a free dash in a way. So you can move out like this, use that ability, maybe even use your ult, and then Warp Stone out. It's a really important ability. Now, the third ability I haven't talked about is a healing thing. But when you use it, you cannot fire your guns. So kind of important to think about. If you want to activate it, make sure you're ready to do it. Try and keep an eye out on your teammates' health in the top right of the screen, sorry, top left of the screen, so you know when to use it. Also, it's good to use on yourself in lane. In laning phase, that's why you can be so aggressive. You can upgrade this as much as possible so that you have this really strong ability, right? If you get to level 1, you're going to be able to do 40% slowed movement. Level 2 is going to be 30% more weapon damage, which is pretty crazy, right? So you can have that incredible sort of aggression in the laning phase, and then you can sort of take your rejuvenating aurora and heal up when you're just a little bit too aggressive and take a bit too much damage. Another thing for the late game, when you level this up, you can actually get the cooldown pretty low, and you just want to use it like all the time, because not only does the teleport help you get closer, but it increases your fire rate, right? Level 2 increases your fire rate, and on top of that, level 3, once you get it, will increase your fire rate and have you a larger magazine size for a limited time. So look at this, it's crazy fast. So that's a really good initiation tool. Once again, you compare that with that, and you just have a lot of aggressive push power. So Dynamo is really good for that sort of play style. Next, we have Grey Talon. Now, Grey Talon is almost the opposite to Dynamo, but Grey Talon's a really, really strong hero. Grey Talon works really good long range. So for me, you want to upgrade this as much as you possibly can. Charge shot. You want to try and get that as powerful as you can early game. And also, you're going to be able to get extra charge. So what this does, pretty early on, you're going to have a multiple charge ability here. And what it does is it charges up like this, right? And then it fires a higher damage shot. And the cooldown is pretty short. So you're going to be able to do more damage on this. Long range. And basically, when you're in the laning phase, what you want to do is keep your distance as much as possible. damage from a larger distance, and then just keep trying to hit this every time you can on the enemy hero. It's such a bursty attack that's going to put a lot of pressure on the enemies in your lane and allow you to sort of just cause havoc and damage them enough to the point where they're kind of stuck. They're not going to feel confident enough to stay out and farm too much. You're going to get a really big lead, and at that point, you damage them a lot. Let's say you use one charge of your tactical here, and then you can use your number 2, fly in the air, and do it again, right? And also, it's like a sort of... This is good for crowd control and AoE when there's a lot of mobs, but you can combine this flying in the air ability with this charge up shot ability. So it's really powerful, and if you manage to sort of snowball and get a lot of lead on other players, you can get a lot of items that are just going to increase your power to like ridiculous levels where basically, for example, late game, you're going to have just ridiculous power. You're just going to fly in the air, just be like, bam. And then you got another one, bam, right? And then you're shooting this, and then shooting this, and then you're like, bam again. And it's just so oppressive, and it's really high damage. It's going to just destroy people. This ability is pretty useful as well, and I like this ability for the laning phase specifically, because what a lot of what will happen, right, is you'll be fighting minions here, you'll be staying out of line of sight, and then maybe you'll have the enemy, like, say, down here, peeking, right, shooting at minions. You don't really get an angle on them, right? You just can't, and I mean, that's kind of the nature of the game. But when you have abilities like this, you can throw it, like, behind here. Well, that wasn't a good example. Let me reset that really quick. You can throw it behind here, right? Wait, can I? Hello? I don't know why that one worked. Oh, hold up. Yeah, anyway. So, you're behind here, and then you get hit by it, right? So you're here, and you're still going to get hit by it. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. So it's really good at pressuring people and forcing people out of cover. And it's also really powerful when you're really, really fed. And this is the kind of, like, if you're really fed with this character, you're going to do really well. Otherwise, you may struggle a little bit. But let's say you fire into the air, you're shooting down, right? And then you throw this over here. Let's say the player shooting at is where my crosshair is, right? And you're shooting, and then he's like, oh my god, I'm taking damage. I'm gonna run. And then you get, like, they just run into your trap. Because, of course, they're gonna try and run back this way as they're getting rained down upon, and then you get hit by the trap. So there's a lot of sort of combos to be used. And then, I honestly think this character is overpowered. You then have this owl that you can remote control. So if somehow they manage to get away, you can then use this and just throw a bomb at them. And this thing can get really strong late game, especially if you get a lot of mystic power or spirit power. So you just have, like, really high damage bursty attacks on this thing that just really, really do well. But if you do badly in your lane, you're not going to have enough power to sort of fight against other people's shields and resistance. So in that case, you're going to struggle. So you really have to win your lane. You really have to keep a distance and just put as much pressure on the enemy as possible. Always using this number 1 charge shot ability to constantly deal damage to them. Otherwise, you're just not going to get ahead. You need to get ahead with this legend hero as much as possible. So that is that hero explained. Now we have Haze, who is an assassin character. So this is the kind of character that you want to sort of roam out of your lane a lot and try and get sort of kills with, you know, as you're roaming and ganking other players. Now, let's talk about their abilities real quick and their use case. So this one sleeps and damages an enemy. Actually, let's go do it to the bots. Hang on a minute. So this one will sleep people, but there's an important thing you need to know about this ability. If you sleep someone, as soon as you shoot them, they'll immediately wake up. They're not going to be stunned like other sort of similar abilities. If you sleep them, they will be asleep for a short period of time or until you hit them again. So if you sleep them and then just shoot them like that, it's kind of a waste, right? What you actually really want to be doing, and this is really powerful when you go for ganks in the early game, you sleep them and then you do a hold melee, right? A hold melee, a charge melee. that will do a lot of damage early game, right? So you can sleep them, do a melee attack like that, and it's a really good initiator. So you want to do that, melee, and then you can like bam, 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 right? So that's something to consider. Now, smoke bomb is interesting. It's gonna allow you to go invisible. However, you are visible only if you're outside of this radius. You see that red circle there? If you have an enemy inside that red circle, they can see you. They can't see you now, but as soon as you go past that line, they can see you. So keep that in mind. But obviously, this is an ability you sort of can use in combination with the sleep dart. Not only do you get faster movement in this, right? So let's say this is your teammate, right? You're coming in for a gank. You're coming in this way, maybe. You're like this, right? You can run up really fast. And the sleep dart distance is really long, right? So you can basically stand still and aim that shot and make sure you get that sleep dart whilst you're in invisibility. As long as you're outside of this radius, you'll be fine. And you can be like, okay, I get him. Then you're going to move up and then kabam, hit him like that. So you can combo these two things together alongside the charged melee attack, and it could be pretty good. Now, fixation is more of like a passive ability. Shooting a target increases your bullet damage on that target. Gain 1 stack per bullet hit. 2 if the hit is a headshot. So basically, this one is all about building stacks, right? The more you damage someone, the more stacks you have, right? So that's something to consider. Basically, the more sustained damage you do on one target, the better it will get. You can see that icon over their head. That's like the stack building up, right? And you're sort of given more reward for getting headshots. So this is really an ability that is going to help you a lot. Look at that. You can do a lot of damage now, right? So you want to be someone who can aim for headshots. This is the kind of player or character that you want to play if you are someone who can really take advantage of your aim in the game. The weapon is actually really easy to use, so keep that in mind. It is really easy to use. So it's sort of like basically hit scan. And then you have this ability, Enter a Flurry. This is like the ultimate, firing a weapon at nearby enemies with perfect accuracy. So basically what this does is it throws you sort of like this. Anyone in that radius will get hit, okay? Anyone in that radius will get hit. But take note to this. Let me just reset it. Let's say this guy's behind. Maybe we go like here, right? He does not take damage. So then he still needs to be in line of sight. So you kind of need to be out in the open, which is a bit of a problem. This is a hard ability to use because people will just shoot you, basically. You will dodge some bullets in that, but people will just shoot you. So there's one really useful item. Let me just find it. What is it called? It's an active item. Yeah, this one. So let's say you're running out here, okay? You go and activate your ability in a team fight, right? And then if you have any difficulties, just press space and then wait, where did my ability go? I didn't get it. What the? Did it reset? Oh yeah, hang on. So I need to go like this, reset hero, and then buy it. Sorry. So it's called Ethereal Shift, right? So you use this ability. If you feel like you're taking too much damage, you quickly press space and then Z. And then you're going to be alive and impenetrable. Nobody can hurt you during that time, which will then hopefully give your team a chance to come and help you. So potentially good thing there. But the ultimate is really hard to make work. There are better initiation tools. There are better team fight tools, in my opinion. It's pretty weak. I also think the sleep dart, like, it's cool in a way, but late game, I feel like it lacks some potential, because honestly, like, it just, there are better stuns. There are so many better stuns in the game that this one just feels a little bit weak. So I mean, this is a fun character. The assassin playstyle is pretty cool, but I do think that Haze feels a little bit weaker. So let's move on now.
On the case.
Right, next we have Abrams. Abrams is a character that is very much in your face. I mean, you can just look. First ability is going to be draining enemies when you're in this radius. So, I mean, straight off the bat, that kind of gives you the idea of the kind of like distance you want to be from people when you're playing Abrams. Like, even in laning phase, you want to be up there. Like, you want to be right here, causing people difficulty. That's going to drain people's health, which is a pretty crazy ability. And Abrams got a pretty heavy hitting, but hard to aim primary weapon. And then you got this dash thing, which will, I mean, it's pretty much straightforward, right? It will stun enemies. And then you have this. Regenerate a portion of incoming damage over time. So this is a passive ability, and it really just kind of showcases what Abrams is all about. He's about that just constant, like, pressure on a lane, being up in someone's face. You have this to help you regenerate health. If you have this, it gives you that advantage over other players that are also in, like, if they're up close next to you and you're just constantly trading shots, you're going to have more of an advantage as you kind of come in and out of cover because you've got this regeneration. And then you have the ultimate, which is just like a ground pound. It's just a really good initiation tool. This is a really good initiation tool. So the way that I would play Abrams is you want to be like, honestly, you want to put pressure on the player's tower and just be really aggressive, right? So let's say, well, here's a tower, right? So when you play it in the actual map, we can actually do it to this one here. When you play in the actual map, you'll notice that you can head glitch this tower, right? So you'll be wanting to play like around this cover here, constantly shooting the minions down, right? And just trying to play up close. Putting enough pressure on and just trying to get that early game lead by being aggressive and not giving the team much chance to do anything, the enemy team. So to also keep that health advantage, you'll want to kill the healer, right? You want to kill the healer minion. So by killing that, your enemy on lane is not going to have much chance to heal up. Their only choice is to go back to the base if you keep putting pressure on them. Whereas you, let's just kill these guys a minute. So let's back out of the way so we don't get healed. Now look at this. We're going to get our passive health generation kicking in. Which early game is super big, right? So prioritize those healers, kill the healer minions, put pressure on here, make sure you're always up close. Remember, you can do this to drain health as well, right? So that's why you always want to be up close. And then you want to destroy the tower as soon as possible. And then what that's going to allow you to do is go gank the nearby lane, right? You're going to be able to gank the nearby lane and just basically be like, oh, there's a guy there. Immediate start to the fight. Kablam. Insane initiation. And then when you hit that, if one stun's not enough, you can just follow up with that, right? Like if you're coming into lane to gank after you've put pressure on, even if your enemy in the lane has just gone back to heal, doesn't matter if you've destroyed their tower or not. If you're quick, you can rotate to the lane. You can go like that, kablam, and then just charge them as well. And it's just incredible. And then you've also got this as well. Like, it's just really oppressive. That is the kind of playstyle you want to do for Abrams. It's that sort of like roaming character that's going to snowball out of control by putting pressure on other lanes. Like, you want to get that advantage in your lane, kill the enemy in your lane, or force them to go back to the base to heal up. Keep that soul's advantage on your enemy, and then go gank every chance you can get with your ult. And that is Abrams. So we're going to move on now, and we're going to go to Infernus. Infernus is fun, but there's some difficulties with Infernus, so we are going to talk about. So first things first, this is like a enemy fire damage thing, right? Stand in that, and it's going to do damage over time, and slow enemies, right? So this is this guy moving here, throw it down. Oh, that's one point I wanted to make. That the distance is really short. It's a really short ability. But yeah, slow down movement and a little bit of damage over time. And then you have this one, which is, I mean, the best way to describe it is like you just have a flame dash behind you. You move fast, and you have a pile of flames behind you. Standing in that will damage players, so keep that in mind. And also, you can get faster speed. It will make the flame dash like last less long, but you'll get more speed. So this ability, like, there's two ways to use it. You kind of use it to sort of just run around in team fights to put flames on the ground, or run around to just clear up mobs, right? You can use it like that. Or in my eyes, a lot of the ways I've used this ability is just if I'm getting too pushed, I'll just run away, right? I'll run away. If they want to chase me, they're going to take damage, and you'll have faster speed than them. So that's something to consider. Now, the main sort of piece of Infernus's kit and what you'll want to be kind of mastering early on is this. It's Afterburn. This is a passive ability. Your bullets build up to apply a burning effect on enemies. Infernus's bullets and abilities will refresh the duration. So this is really important, and I need to go over to the mobs over here to show why. Early game, you are going to run out of ammo really quickly, and you're going to struggle to last hit minions and secure your orbs, because you're going to be having to reload a lot. It's a long reload, and you're going to struggle, right? You're going to really struggle to have enough ammo. So you need that additional burn damage just to make sure that you're doing enough damage to actually basically kill these mobs and hit the soul without running out of ammo. So that's kind of the play style here. You need to use that, upgrade this as much as possible. And that has a second benefit as well. That if you have like your enemy like dodging in and out of cover, if you just shoot them for like a couple hits, that's going to do burn damage over time, which is pretty good. So that can be a good way to chip away at your enemies. But yeah, you really, the problem is with Infernus is you run out of ammo so quick. And that's a trouble when you're trying to farm on lane. They do say Infernus is like a good starter hero. And I think maybe that's because of this runaway ability. But I think that in lane, you're going to struggle with Infernus unless you focus on that. So it's really, really important you get this first. Get basic magazine first. This will give you more ammo. Super important. Super, super important. You always want to be building up that. And just keep that in mind. Like as soon as you can get that, go back to the shop near your tower and get that item, or you're going to be screwed. Right. Now, the ultimate is kind of like a big explosion. It builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and then kablam. It does damage, right? It does damage, and it stuns people. Now, you can actually do this in combination with this, right? So let's say you want to... This is a pretty good initiator. I don't think it's the best initiator in the game, but let's say you want to gank a lane or want to start a team fight. You can run in with this, right? And activate this at the same time. And then what you have is stunned enemies in this pool of fire. So they're taking burn damage over time for a short period. They're stunned, and they've taken the initial damage from that. So that's sort of a good thing. And also, if you want to, you can do this, right? You could even go like this, right? Bam, throw that on the floor, and then like this. So all three abilities are going to put flame damage on the ground, and that is quite a... That stacks up a lot. Another thing to note is that this ability will increase damage done. So you want to kind of work on this and this, in my opinion, so that you have... Sorry, not this. You want to work on this one. But yeah, honestly, I do feel like Infernus is not the best. It's kind of cool, but whenever I fight an Infernus, I don't feel like they're ever that difficult to deal with. And his... Like, you've got to be really good at using these abilities and initiating with them. There are better initiation tools in the game. But yeah, I mean, he's a pretty cool guy. So for me, this is a character that I would play, right? Sorry, I don't even know what's the character called? Yeah, the character's called Ivy. This is the kind of character you want to play if you're duo laning, right? This is the kind of character that you'd play when you're playing with your friends. Like, I wouldn't solo a lane with this character because, I mean, you can see here. Sorry, where is it? Gain bonuses and automatically connect with a nearby ally to share them. Healing is replicated among all those connected. Connection requires line of sight. So, basically, this is going to be really useful for healing you and a teammate, right? So you want to kind of... You want to duo queue with this character. So if you don't duo queue, maybe don't consider this legend. Now... This one is probably quite a useful tool in the early stages when you're laning. Like most of these area of effect long range abilities, you can throw it down and people aren't going to want to sit here, right? It's going to do damage over time. You're going to get movement slows. So just constantly pressure enemies on lane by throwing that. Whenever they're behind cover, you can push them out of cover, deal damage on them, and take more control of the lane with that. So that's pretty decent. Now, later in the game, you're going to want to max this out, right? You want to get this, and then you want to max this out as soon as you can for the mid stages. This is a really good initiation tool. So what it will do is it will turn you into stone, and you cannot take damage for a short time. And it will also stun people as you do it. So you kind of do that, right? So let's just take a look at this. You can be like, hang on, let's see you do a double jump, right? And then you're like this. Bam. It's a ground slam. You're going to damage people. You're going to stun people. And for a short time, you are not going to take damage, right? And when you do it, you also heal some health as well. So it's a pretty good initiation tool. And then we have this one. Take flight with an ally or a bomb. Ally gains bullet resist but cannot attack or use abilities while lifted. Drop your ally or bomb to cause a large explosion that causes movement slow. So let's see this, right?
Let's go for a ride.
Here we go. You can drop a bomb down like that. Or you can do it with an ally, right? So this is a really like support legend. You have some support abilities, but you also have some sort of, what's the word? You have some crowd control, right? So this one is good for starting a fight, but this one's also good for starting a fight. There are kind of two ways you can use this, right? You could like, where's my dude? He's over here now. You could use it to get your guy out of danger, or let's say you're duo queuing with a Dynamo, right? And remember, Dynamo's ultimate sucks everybody in, right? So you could be like this, right? Let me grab my teammate, right? We're gonna fly in. We're gonna drop the Dynamo into a massive team. The Dynamo is gonna activate his ult, and then I'm gonna go like this, blam, right? It's a pretty powerful combo, but like I say, this is the kind of character you'd want to play when you have a lot of communication with your duo queue. So something to consider there. Really hard to play alone. Kelvin, to me, is the hero that can be really, really impactful for keeping you and your team alive and sort of just like turning the tides of fights. It's kind of like a really cool tanky support legend. So this one is just like a damaging, slowing area of effect thing. Once again, really good ability on lane because you're going to be able to pressure people out of situations. Like if they're behind this thing here, it's a big circle. You're going to be moving them out of the way. They're not going to want to sit in that. This one is going to sort of like slow and damage people. Right, you can get a max 60% slow, which is pretty crazy, right? Where's my enemies? So, yeah, it's just like a slowing effect, really. So this is a really good ability to sort of help a fight, right? If there's a guy trying to escape, you can slow them down, and then your DPS is going to be able to sort of deal more damage and catch up to them. So that's good. And there's another ability that's going to allow you to catch up with enemies that are running away or escape. You have this really cool thing here, which allows you to create this like ice path, right? But the craziest thing about this, you can go up and down. It takes some practice, but you can go up and down. And when you're on it, you get increased movement speed, right? It's really, really cool. So we can go like this. And also, I definitely would say that a good ability to sort of bind this with is, let me just find it really. So duration extender is a really good one. And you can even build that into superior duration, right? And we can put that on our ice path ability. So now we can go for a really long distance, right? So we can create this massive like push or escape situation. And that's going to give us a lot of freedom to get our whole team out of danger or into a fight. And the cool thing is, when you build this item, right, which gives you increased duration, you actually get, if it's fully upgraded, you get 1 extra spirit power per meter of ice path trail created. So that's pretty cool. So overall, that's a fun support ability. And then you have this one as well. It's like a massive dome. Now, you can probably see the benefit of this. Once you're in it, you can't get out. And once you're out, you can't get in. So this is sort of useful in many situations, right? If you want to isolate you and maybe your teammate and one dude, you could throw it here. Oh, no, not like that. You could throw it on you in a team fight. And now you have an isolated 2v1 against this guy, right? Or if you know your dude's about to die and he's getting chased and he needs just a moment to heal up or whatever, wait for his abilities to reset, you can throw it on your teammate and you're safe for a minute. Just keep in mind that when you use this ability, anyone outside also has time for their abilities cooldown to reset. So it can be sort of like a bad ability in some ways because you can get yourself killed. It gives enemies some time to sort of prepare for when that ice dome is destroyed. It allows them for their cooldown to be reset. So if you're using this and you're sort of waiting for your teammate to heal up or something, you throw it on them, but you're being chased down by a super fed DPS character, and then what you've done is essentially given them time for their abilities to go back on available, like get out of cooldown. So hard ability to use well, but everything, honestly, even this ability is quite hard to use well. But with some practice, you can do some pretty cool things with him. He's sort of like a high skill ceiling support legend, I would say. So moving on now, Lady Geist. I don't know about this character. I think that she's really hard to make work well. I honestly think that she seems a little underpowered from both playing her and also fighting against her. She seems kind of weak. I mean, this is an example of it, right? Sacrifice some of your health to launch a bomb that deals damage after a brief time, right? You can do 100 damage, but you're taking 30 damage on your own, which seems a little bit crazy. There are other abilities early on in the game that can deal damage like this that aren't going to cause such a problem for yourself. Like, for example, 7's ability. Let me just explain that really quick. We'll jump to 7 later, but 7 can throw this down, and that's going to do damage over time, but it doesn't take away from his health, right? But anyway, yeah, you have that. And then create a tether that drains enemy health over time and heals you. Target must be in line of sight and within max range to drain. You can shoot and use other abilities during the drain, but your movement speed is reduced by half. So you sort of have this character that is taking away and giving health to and from the enemies and herself, right? Which is interesting. And then you have sacrifice some of you have to launch blood shards that apply a stack of malice. Each stack slows the victim and increases damage they take from you. Yeah, so I think that her abilities sort of, this one's kind of cool though. Swaps health levels with an enemy target. There is a minimum health percentage that enemies can be brought down to and a minimum amount of health received based on victim's current health. So
I lure them into my trap.
When you do this, then it's interesting. You're going to get 30% extra health, but they need to have 20% health. So let's say you got like 1 HP, right? You can go like this and take all of their health. And they will then be on 20% health, if that makes sense. They can't go lower than that, but it's a cool way to like stay alive in some situations. But I think that this character, like, these abilities could be cool, but I think balancing wise, they don't quite do enough. They're doing too much damage to herself and not enough to others in a way. She also has this pistol. This pistol's quite cool because it's quite long range. I quite like it. You know, it has a decent amount of ammo per reload. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. But I just think that her abilities don't really provide much in a team fight besides, like, just kind of send health back and forth. You may as well just shoot people. That does the job just as well. So I don't know about this character, honestly. Next, we have Lash. Now, Lash is a very strong legend that's going to be kind of the one you want to go for if you want to go and just stomp lanes and just cause a lot of ganks and win fights on other people's lanes. So you have this one here. Sorry, let's get close to an enemy here. This is going to like stun people a little bit, right?
I can do this all day.
And it's okay. It does some damage, so that's kind of cool. And then you have this one, which is going to pull you closer. So you're going to be tethered to whoever you aim at, right? Which is cool. So you can sort of go like this, bum, bum, and then find this guy. Sorry, bum, bum, and then bum if you want. So that's another thing about this one. If you're in the air, it will do like a ground slam, right? So these two are really well combined together. You can do this jump here with two jump, two, and then ground slam, right? That's kind of like the combo to initiate a fight. But also, this gets one of your stamina charges back, right? So you can actually do some pretty cool things. You could be like, bam, 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 bam. Oh, I'm on the zip line. Sorry. It's going to reset one of your stamina and all of your mid-air dashes. So you can jump, 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 jump. And then, yeah, it's pretty cool. In late game, when you have more stamina, that's even cooler. But another way to do it is you can have this ability. Sorry. Let me just reset my abilities here. Reset hero. So this will steal life from them. Okay? So you can sort of go like this, and then do that, and then do that. So you have a pull yourself towards an enemy, do a life steal mid-air, and then grand slam them. So you have 3 different abilities that can be used in succession. It's kind of annoying because you have this one here, which you want to use first, and then this one, which you want to use second, and then this one, which you want to use first. But I just wish they were in a different order, because when you first play, you're going to press 1, 2, 3, and it's not going to do anything. And then you have this one, which I can't really explain. Wait, do we have 2 enemies here? So basically, you have to focus, right? And then you let go, and you slam them together, right? The more players you can focus together, the better. Okay, Lash is like a really cool, powerful legend with some really fun movement and good combos, but really hard to master, honestly, because the combos get a little bit confusing. But yeah, really cool legend. Right, next we have Mcginnis. Right, there's a couple of things to talk about Mcginnis. Firstly, let's just talk about her primary weapon. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's go back to Lash. Lash's primary weapon is this like sort of burst pistol, and honestly, it's pretty decent. Like, it's not super long range, but it's got enough ammo to really be effective for basically all situations, even straight from the start of the map. So that's a really good laning hero early game because of that. Okay, so Mcginnis, though, has a 66 round LMG, and just pay attention to how this works here. The longer you fire, the faster the fire rate. And this isn't some like weak little gun either. This thing is really suppressive in laning phase, because you can sort of like, let's say you're here, right? And the enemy is over by the tower. You can like shoot some mobs up close, and then when it charges up, you can then shoot the enemy long range, whereas you just sit there and just keep holding down the trigger. And it's a massive magazine. So a really effective way to do that, like I say, is like you start shooting this minion, you get that there, and then you shoot that, right? So really oppressive weapon that you can sort of like, by timing shooting mobs up close, plus it has large spread and slow fire rate, and then just aim at the enemy. So really oppressive ability. I would say Mcginnis is a really good solo queue laner. If you got solo on the lane yourself, so you have that oppressive ability there, where you just have more ammo than they do. So that's going to allow you to like steal a lot of mobs as well, right? Like, okay, I can just take that, I can take that, blah, 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 right? You can steal people, mob souls. And then you have some turrets, right? This is a mini turret, and it will just automatically shoot enemies. So that's great. This thing's annoying, because when you're fighting against this, you may not really pay much attention. You might think it's just like a normal mob, but late game, the range is increased, the damage it does is increased, and it ends up just being really, really annoying. Like, it will kill you. It will do like 1,000 damage to you without you even noticing. It's that good and that annoying. The only trouble though, early game, keep in mind that when you place this down, right? When you place this down, this allows your enemies to get extra spirits. You can get 2 turrets down, you know, which is great. And then if you go over here to the store, I do believe you can get even more. If you take the extra charge ability, you can now get 3 turrets at once. If you think 1 turret can be a pain, now you have 3 of them, right? Which is just kind of annoying. Okay. And as you see, they end up breaking after a while. But yeah, they'll do a lot of damage, but enemies can destroy them and get souls from them. So that's almost like an extra mob for your enemies. So keep that in mind and try to be aware of the fact that you're like a player will just basically use these as free extra souls at the laning stage. So keep that in mind. Then we have Medicinal Spectre. Display a spirit that heals enemies, right? Just a free AoE healing thing. Pretty awesome. I feel like any characters that have healing are always really oppressive in the laning stage. So you have a turret that does damage. You have a heal that's going to heal you up. That's allowing you to just keep being more aggressive. And also, it even gives you more fire rate bonus. So that's kind of crazy. And then you have this one. This one's like kind of a really interesting ability, right? Not only does it like... Oh, well, that was a terrible kick. Let me show you what it does first, right? It just throws out a wall, right? Throws out a wall. And that's kind of cool, right? You can split up the battlefield. You can try and like stop people from... Oh, let me try and explain it. Let me try and explain what like a good player would do, right? Let's say you want to isolate it, like isolate a dude, right? You see that guy there, right? And then we have... Where's the other bot? Right, so we have these 2 guys here, right? He's running back this way. We throw at the wall and then activate it. Now this guy's stuck on this side and that guy's stuck on that side. So you can isolate enemies. You can also like block people's routes, right? Let's say this bot is trying to like run back to his base or something and we're just like, no, you're not, right? And you can also just destroy it again when you need to, right? That's an important thing. Like you have the ability to put it up and then just immediately get rid of it. And when it hits people, if you just let it run, eventually it will just hit something. But if you just do it like that, it will hit the wall. But if you like time it, right, it will stun them a little bit and damage them. And then you have Heavy Barrage, which is like this.
I'll give him hell.
This thing can do a lot of damage, but it's really obvious when it's happening. Like that sound effect is the loudest thing in the game.
Ready to get my
But
hands dirty.
a lot of people who are new to the game won't really realize what's going on before it's too late. Because as you can see here, right, I'm like kind of here.
Let's see him dodge this.
I'm pretty much like out of line of sight there, but I can still damage him. Like it has some pretty long range and it can go in some situations over walls. So you might think you're safe and then you get hit by that and you just take a bunch of damage and you don't know what's going on. A really good ability for like early game. Late game, I would say it's not... I mean, like when you're a bit more experienced, it's not the best. This wall thing's kind of cool. But what you'll notice a lot of situations is like this. Like you try and create a wall and then people will just run around the edges of it. But yeah, these 2 abilities, the turret and the healing thing, are the most powerful thing to use. Using those in lane is going to allow you to get a really good head start. But just late game, she does kind of struggle for like the late game stages, in my opinion. She's really good early in the laning phase, but then she struggles a bit. All right, next we have Mo and Krill. Now, this hero or heroes can be an absolute nightmare. This like can be one of the biggest, most frustrating characters to fight against. If you let a Mo and Krill get fed, it is really, really horrible. This is a tank. It's really weird. This is a tank, but it's got like one of the highest movement speeds out of every character. If you didn't know, each character has different movement speeds. The average is like 6. Mo and Krill has 7.8. And then one of the abilities allows you to move faster whilst burrowing. And then if you want to unburrow, you go like that. And you can throw people in the air, damage them, and stun them. So that's always nice, right? And, well, it's not a stun, it's a slow. That's important to note. And then this one's pretty good. Deal damage to nearby areas and heal yourself based on the damage done. So basically, like, this is the kind of thing that I feel like the Lady Geist should have. Like, you're not losing any health. You're just getting lifesteal. You're getting free lifesteal. This is just a lifesteal ability, which is really cool. And then we have Sandblast. It disarms enemies in front of you and deals damage. So, you know, he can no longer... He can't use his gun for that period of time. He cannot use his gun. Okay? And then you have probably the most annoying ability in the game. I want to explain abilities, then I explain the playstyle that this kind of character is for, right? Look at this. You get stunned, and you just get pummeled. Okay? You get stunned, and then you get pummeled. So, you have an ability that stuns an individual. You have an ability that will spray sand and disarm enemies in the very near area. And you have also another ability that will throw people up in the air. So, the whole, like, point of Mo and Krill, in my opinion, is you want to target specific people. Like, this is I'm going to target one player and eliminate them. And by doing that, you're putting the fight in your favor, right? If you want to go gank a lane with this guy, you want to go and gank a solo lane and just focus one dude and just eliminate him. Because he's really good at singling out and soloing enemies with these abilities. And the crazy thing is, right? If you kill a player with a combo on the ult, I can't really do it because these guys are too tough. Hold up. Let me make that appear. So, let's say we're going to kill this player here, right? Look at my health right now. It's 700, right? Let's just damage him a bit. And then we're going to kill him with the ultimate. We just gained 30 HP. Like, you get 30 HP
Wonder what we can buy now.
for what?
Take down anyone.
Just killing a player, okay? Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So you're going to get tanky, and that's not even taking into consideration like all the abilities, right? You can get more abilities to give you more tankiness, and then you have this. You just keep targeting enemies in different lanes, just like helping a team out by eliminating them, but also getting more health. And then late game, you're just going to be running around doing this, initiating fights, doing that in the middle of a fight, right? Making people unable to use their guns for a short time, and then like singling out the DPS with this. It's crazy. You can really, really do well with those abilities. You have to be really aggressive and be really active on like pushing other lanes. And I feel like that works really amazingly. And now we have Paradox. Paradox is one of my, like, probably one of my favorite characters in terms of just the laning phase. And I think one of the reasons for that is this ability here. So no, you can't shoot through this. Enemies cannot shoot through this, but you can. So this allows you to basically secure mobs and deal damage to enemies, but mostly just secure mobs, right? It's a free tool to deal damage. Yeah. You can throw it on enemies and like deal a bit of damage, but it's like this one-way wall that's going to be really beneficial in a game where you're trying to out-farm the other enemy, right? So it allows you to get angles that you would otherwise not be able to clean up mobs. Really cool. And then you have this, which will do damage, movement slow, and yeah, it slows them and does damage. And you can throw it around corners. So let's say there's a dude hiding behind that thing. Well, now he's got a movement slow. I can move out, put my... Oh, hang on, that's midair. Let's do that whole scenario again, shall we? Right. We throw... No, not like that. We throw our time ball down there, right? We slide, put this on the ground, and then we can now shoot through a one-way wall as a guy is slowed. It's a really cool sort of... It's just a really cool combo to have in the laning phase. I'm not sure of her viability late game. I'm not really sure. But another really cool thing, and I've done this a couple times, you can swap place with an enemy. And I mean... Right, hang on. Let me show you why that's really cool. In the laning phase, it's going to be hard to make work in the late game because she's not a tank. She doesn't have any abilities to protect herself. She cannot really initiate a team fight, right? But I mean, okay, let's put this guy over here. You can teleport with him, and now the turret will kill him, and you'll get the kill for it, right? Really cool. an amazing laning legend with some really cool laning abilities. And then you also have this thing, Kinetic Carbine. Start charging a weapon and gain increased movement speed when it's fully charged. Your next shot will release energy, dealing spirit damage, and applying a time stop to the enemy hit. So let me show this on a bot that's actually moving around. This is a skill shot, basically. You wait for it to charge up, and then you have an increased movement and a limited amount of time to hit this thing, and then they get slowed for a second, right? Very short time, but it's a really strong damage shot that you charge up, and it's a great way to start a fight on a 1v1 in the lane. Honestly, like, I think she's a really powerful laning character that's going to allow you to dominate your lane, clear that tower, and then go help the rest of your team. I don't like her abilities aren't great late game, but I guess you can scale off of just having a really great start. So if you want to dominate the laning phase and just have the best chance you can, I honestly think Paradox is one of the best characters for it. Right, next we have Pocket. Now Pocket's a really interesting character. First things first, oh, by the way, I wanted to talk about the Paradox primary. Forgot about that. It's a 40-round burst little pistol thing, and it's just really accurate. It's really, really accurate. You got a lot of ammo. You're going to be able to basically always one-clip mobs in the laning phase and ensure that you can get the souls and last hit. Like, it's really good. It's just the best laning character in the game, in my opinion. Well, maybe for new players, I don't know. I'm not like the world's best player, am I? Okay, so now we have Pocket. Now Pocket, I'm just going to show you abilities first and then explain why they're kind of cool. And the combos you can pull off. Right, Barrage will do a barrage. It's also going to do damage and slow movement. So this is a really good sort of initiation tool and just dealing damage. And then you have Flying Cloak. Fly this thing, does damage along the way, and then you can teleport, right? Pretty cool. So you can throw it through enemies and then teleport behind them. That's one thing to do. And then you have Enchanter's Satchel, which is a really funny ability. Not today. You are now invulnerable, and then you deal damage, right? You're invulnerable for a time, and then you deal damage. And then you have this, which is basically a damage. Like, if you get hit whilst you're in the radius of this, you will take damage over time for a long time. Just take a look at this. You take 23 DPS for 18 seconds. However, pay attention to this dude right here. It will take your whole health down. It will almost take your whole health down. However, it will not kill them. I'm pretty sure it will not kill them. You will stop at 1 HP. But at the end of the day, you stop at 1 HP. So it's a really powerful ability to use to stop pushes if you get it fairly early in the laning stage. Because once you hit that, the other enemy is screwed, right? It's a really good ability to just like 1v1 someone in the laning phase, you know. But I think this actually combos really well late game as one of the best initiation characters in the game. Now I'm going to get the warp stone here because I think it's really important to explain this. You warp stone in, all right, and then you throw your teleport backwards. You ult, suitcase, and teleport whilst in suitcase. Let me just show you the teleport mechanic here. So if I teleport now and then suitcase, I can teleport out of my suitcase, right? So that's quite a high skill thing to do in the middle of a fight anyway. But I've had some luck with basically, I just reset again, so I need to get the warp stone again. But what I'll do is I will get the warp stone, right? I will warp into the fight and then throw my teleport, throw my ult, throw my suitcase, and then teleport back. And now those guys are taking tons of damage, and I'm just back here for free, and I can now shoot them and barrage them. To create, like, the initiation power of this character is insane, and you get free pushes. You don't have to put yourself in danger at all. You literally have a free push. I can, you know, use all of these abilities, and if I time it right, I'm out safe. However, it's really hard to time and perfect because of this reason, right? Let's say I go in my suitcase first by accident. If I teleport now, it will send me out of the suitcase. You have to throw your teleport first, suitcase, and then teleport to get a free escape. So, as you can see, a very high skill ceiling initiation legend with some crazy potential once you get the combo down. but it's hard. And without the warp stone, you're gonna kind of like, you're gonna have to run up to a team as opposed to being like, oh, I'm here, I'm gonna teleport on you and then suitcase, right? I don't have my ultimate activate, so I can't really show you that. But yeah, you get the point. Very high skill ceiling, legend, but really cool. Next we have 7. Right, 7 is going to be devastating in like lower skill lobbies, in my opinion. I started to notice pretty quickly. In my first few games, the 7 would do this, and everyone would just die. Everyone would just die. And it's like, what's going on? Basically, everyone in line of sight of 7 right now is taking damage, right? Really, really cool. Okay. However, if I'm just like, oh, there's a 7 doing his ult, I can just sit here. I don't take damage anymore, and then peek when his ult ends, right? It's really funny, actually. It's really funny. It's just like, once you get the hang of that, like, oh, I'm out of line of sight of 7, I don't take damage. The ultimate is not really that great, honestly. It seems cool, but you really quickly learn that it's just kind of like not as good as you think. Early game, you're going to want to use this cool lightning ball thing. It does damage over time. It lasts for 5 seconds, and you throw the ball. It will land wherever you aim it or until it hits a target, right? So let me go show this on a dummy over here. If I aim like over here and then it hits a target, it will stop on them, right? It will stop on them. It will do a lot of damage. It will slow them kind of a little bit. But this is just like one of those laning tools that's really good to get people out of, like, there's a guy hiding behind that thing. You want to get him away. You want to push him out to take an angle on him. You can do that. Great, right? Pretty cool. And then you have this ability, Static Charge. This is a free stun, and this is one of the best stuns in the game. Okay? Let me show you on one of the bots that's actually moving up here. This is one of the best stuns in the game, but you do need to be really close for it to work. Like, where's this bot? Where have they gone, dude? Oh yeah, I accidentally deleted them. I just had to respawn the bots real quick. So look, the bot's right there. It doesn't reach, right? I'm not close enough. I have to be that close, and then it will have like a effect like that, and then they'll be stunned, right? It takes a while, but they will be stunned once that sort of circle comes in. It's a really great tool to basically just stun lock someone and get a free kill, honestly. As people become more powerful and get more health later on, it's not as effective. It's pretty good early game. But yeah, really strong stun. And as you upgrade it, you can increase the stun duration. That's kind of cool. And then you have this thing here, Power Surge. It's basically like an AoE thing. It's especially good for clearing mobs and pushing out lanes. Like, if you go like this now, that guy's going to take damage, right? It's like a static electric field. You shoot one guy, people nearby are going to take damage. So it's really powerful against team fights when people are bunched together, and really good at just clearing out lanes. Be careful when you use it in lane, though, because you could accidentally mess up and not be able to one-hit mobs. Because if a bunch of mobs get low health really quickly, they're all going to just... You're not going to be able to manage 5-6 mobs all dying at the same time. So yeah, you have the ult, you have these abilities. There's not really any like particular combo that I found with this legend, to be honest, hero. But, you know, a pretty cool like early, like if you're new to the game, it's pretty fun. The weapon's pretty cool. It's an alright weapon, decent range, pretty easy to use. It's like kind of like bursty, but yeah, pretty like standard character with fairly useful abilities early on. But not like anything crazy. Alright, next we have Shiv. Shiv is one of the craziest characters in the game for just running around and killing other players. Look at this, right? Activate to leap towards an enemy hero and instantly kill them if their health is below the kill threshold. Otherwise, deal 200 damage to them. So no matter what, I can leap towards someone and deal damage to them. However... Once you're sort of like in the late stages of the game, whenever you see a dude who's like low health, right? Let's just get this guy low health. Hang on a minute. Right? Not shooting. What's going on? Can't shoot for some reason. Because I'm near the shop. I don't know. So I can just jump to him and he's just going to die instantly. right? And that will happen a lot more often than you think. Okay, it really is kind of crazy. And also, when you get the skill, you activate the rage bar. And basically, what that means is if you're on lane and just constantly shooting damage to minions, you're going to increase this rage bar until it fills up. Once it fills up, you're going to do more damage. And also, it changes your abilities. While rage is full, knives will ricochet to another enemy. And so, let me explain this first. This ability here is basically like your bread and butter on lane. His weapon is really short range, right? You have like a shotgun, and then like a secondary attack that's like a blast pattern that does more damage but it's slower firing. It's kind of cool, this shotgun, because it's really easy to hit souls, right? Let me explain this, right? You hit this guy down. It's so easy to hit because it has like a blast pattern like this. It's really easy to steal souls and also hit your own souls. You're not going to miss. You don't have to worry about taking a bit of extra time to be on target. So it's actually pretty cool. But for longer distances, it's not going to do anything, right? But then that's why you have this tactical. This number 1 ability. It's going to be really good. And you can get more charges, of course. And you definitely want to build extra charge fairly early on, because that's going to give you more charges. So you can use it. This is your tool to deal damage to the enemy on your lane, basically. But yeah, if you have this in rage, it's going to do more damage to 2 people. It's going to do damage to 2 people, and it will slow them. So pretty cool. And then you have this one, Slice and Dice. It's basically it's kind of okay. It's an okay ability, but it's only really good when you're in rage, right? So I'm gonna try and show you what I mean, right? This is a normal one. Okay, it does a bit of damage. However, if we get I'm gonna have to reset, but if we get rage here, look what it does instead, right? It does it like double. It's double the damage, right? And then you have this one, take only a portion of incoming damage immediately and defer the rest to be taken over time. Activate to clear a portion of the deferred damage. And while rage is full, the amount of damage deferred is increased. So basically, what this means is you can use this in a team fight, or when you're pushing, you're not going to take that damage immediately. Then later on, you can press it to like reduce damage, right? Sorry, to take that damage. So it's like you take damage later. You build up damage and you can take it later, which is a really good ability for pushing fights. So you sort of have this like push ability. You have this knives. So kind of on lane, what you want to do is knife them, push into them, and then kind of take, you know, a fairly up close fight, and then just back out, right? And then when they're low, if they have 20% health, let's say you're on lane, 20% health, right? They have 100 health, you have 100 health. Well, now you can press that and instantly kill them. Okay? So it's sort of like you get the health advantage by playing this character. You defer the damage. You then only need to get them down to 20% health, and then you get the kill. So you always have the health advantage when you're playing this character, which gives you the ability to take aggression. So if you're the kind of person who likes taking aggression and winning fights by just being aggressive, he gives you that freedom. But if you like long range fights, you're going to struggle because it's a shotgun, you know. Keep that in mind. Right, next we have this character. This is the sniper class, and I think most people will enjoy her if you like playing sniper. So basically, you do bonus damage to people with less than 50 health. And if you assassinate a player, you'll get extra souls, right? You will get basically what you want to do with this character to scale is you want to hit that final blow on as many characters as you can. That will give you bonus souls, which means you can upgrade even more and then go one hit people even more. Trouble is, I see a lot of people playing this character and they don't snowball hard enough and they don't get enough kills, and then they're just really weak. They're not doing enough damage. And they're kind of, it's hard to do well with her because you need to hit those shots and actually, like this is the sniper, right? You need to hit these shots and actually secure kills of it, which can be pretty difficult.
Every time.
You also have this bird, which basically bleeds enemies and just hits them. You also have this flying thing, which is really useful. You can like control how you want to fly, so you can go up, you can go down, but going up is really fast, going down is really slow. So I see a lot of players flying in the air like this, okay? They go like this, they go up really high in the air, and then they're just stuck trying to get down to the ground, okay? So if you're playing this, just remember that you can press space to drop down to the ground at any time. So you can combine this flying ability, obviously, with the sniper, right? You can go up like this, get good angles on people, you can throw your bird out, and then you have this, which tethers enemies, right? So, I mean, this guy's not going to be moving anyway, but
Stick around.
they're stuck there now. They're stuck, and it's a large area of effect, right? So, if we reset the abilities here, we can fly up in the air, throw our stake here, it's going to land down, that guy's now stunned, and you can get a line-up shot on him. It's quite a long stun. So you have a very easy to hit long-range tether ability, and then you have your sniper. So this is a very much like you single out single opponents and get as many kills as you possibly can. In the laning phase, she's okay. You have this sort of like long-range rifle thing. It's kind of like full auto. Pretty decent. It does enough damage, so you don't have to worry too much about the short magazine size, right? But something about her is just really... She's really hard to do well with because you have to kill people. And sometimes it's just so fiddly, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to try and get a kill on this guy. Oh no, they didn't quite die. You know. So, yeah. If you're not doing the kills, then you're going to fall behind. And you're this kind of squishy DPS character. I do feel like there are better DPS characters, but if you really like sniping, you like her. Right, next we have probably the memeiest character in the game. This guy's, I believe this guy's like the newest. So, I mean, I don't even know like how to explain him in the meta. I don't know if he's any good. But anyway, that is Goo. It's going to do movement slow and deal damage. And then you have this ability where you can basically turn your friends into a cube. And they are safe. They're safe. They get health regen. And they're safe. And I see a lot of squidgy guys doing it on themselves as well. And you can get out of it whenever you want to. And then you have this, right? This is kind of like one of the cool abilities because look at the way you can use it. You can just create... He sounds like something, dude. I don't know. He sounds like really familiar somehow. Anyway, you can create that on walls or whatever. It sends a player up in the air and it slows them as well. So you have a lot of slowing abilities. And then you have this weird thing. I don't know. Like, you take less damage when you're doing this. Like, you basically don't take any damage at all. And you can kind of like hit people, you know, and bouncing them. I just don't know where he fits in the meta. He's kind of fun. Like, just try him if you want to. All the heroes are free anyway. But I don't know where he fits in the meta. His weapon's kind of weird. It's like this slow-firing goo ball. Which is fine if you're up close. But when you're longer range, it's kind of hard to, like, last-hit minions sometimes. So, I don't know. He's a funny dude. I don't know where he fits in the meta. I don't know how good he's going to be. I'm not really sure. Okay, next we have Warden. Now, Warden has a 17-shot, like, I don't know. He's kind of hard to do well on the laning stage. It's kind of hard to do well against minions. The accuracy on this thing's kind of odd. So you need to be up close, right? You need to be up close. So that kind of explains his abilities, right? This is a slowing thing that damages slows and reduces the weapon damage and stamina. So it's a mega debuff ability, right? And the range is really short, okay? And then you have this ability, Spirit Shield and bonus movement speed, right? So it's kind of like a tank thing. And then you have this, cast an enemy hero. If they don't move away from their initial position, they will be damaged and immobilized. So you do this. I need a hero. I need a hero. Oh, over here. Once again, really close. Now he's got to move. If he doesn't, he gets stunned. You can still shoot whilst you're in here, so it's not the best stun in the game. And then you have this. After charging for 2.2 seconds, release pulses that damage enemies and heal you based on the damage done. So I've died to a lot of Wardens, and I've also like just killed a lot of Wardens. So I don't know where, honestly, I don't know where he stands in the meta. But you got to be like really aggressive on the lane and push up close, because I mean, if you want that ability to hit, you're gonna need to do it, right? Very much just up in your face, sort of like brute forcing things. He can become pretty tanky. and his ultimate can just destroy people. So basically, if you're fighting against this guy, just stay away from him. Otherwise, just be up in people's faces all the time. All right, now we'll move on to Wraith. I think Wraith is one of the most busted characters in the game. Okay, yeah. So basically, let me explain her abilities real quick.
I don't need a gun to kill.
Once again, you're gonna kind of want to get this extra charge thing for her tactical. You're gonna get cards floating above your head, which will tell you how they work. This will lock onto people, right? It's pretty good, honestly. It will chase them as well. It won't always hit them if it's like chasing them around the corners, but it will hit them and deal a decent amount of damage, right? It's just a damage ability and it's really easy to hit. Okay, and then you have this one where you just teleport, right? And then you have this one which increases your fire rate. And then you have this one which lifts an enemy into the air, stuns them, and you basically get a free kill. So this character is probably one of the most straightforward characters in the game. She has decent base movement speed. She has a very easy, just long-range attack to harass people. And then to make this character work, you just shoot your gun. You have a 52-round magazine. And it doesn't have any weird gimmicks like the Mcginnis weapon. So literally, this character is all about just using your primary. Using your primary, dealing damage, moving up, then doing that, and then throwing people in the air with the ultimate, and using your passive here. Just more damage, shooting your gun. If you want to play a legend or a hero, it's just about actually shooting your primary weapon, and that's the main focus. This is the one. And honestly, Wraith is pretty good. She can scale really well and late game just do insane amount of damage if you manage to get fed. So, yeah, pretty awesome.
Stack up some bodies.
And you can just like stack cards on and then just basically a very simple, straightforward damage dealing character that's really effective. Finally, we have Yamato. Yamato is a pretty hard character, but once fed, she's really strong. So, this is the first ability. It's a basic sword attack, right? You can do it early, but you want to kind of wait for it to be longer, so you do more damage. And then you have this thing, where you'll come up close and do that, right? It will slow the target. And then you have this one, which will do damage in close, right? And then you have the ultimate. During the stage, you don't take damage, and then when you're in the ultimate, your abilities will have faster cooldown, and you also have infinite ammo, which is pretty cool. I don't remember if it affects your stamina. No, but you get more movement speed. So basically, this is like an infinite ammo thing. To me, I think the way that you make Yamato work is you mainly just win your lane, and then get kills and buff your damage to the point where you're just doing crazy damage with your primary weapon. But then you also have a bit more like potential, right? So you can like you can grapple onto people. Hang on, let's reset my abilities to actually show you. You can grapple onto people, use the sword, and then just kind of like do extra damage, right? So you have that extra bursty damage that I feel like Wraith doesn't have. But the weapon is a little bit harder to use. You don't have much ammo in the mag. It's pretty heavy damage. You don't have much ammo. And it's kind of like... It's not the easiest projectile to aim. And then you also have a secondary fire, which is like a little mine thing. Which is pretty cool. So, yeah, you basically have a damage-dealing character with a bit more flair and fun. Hard to master because the ability is a little bit hard to hit. And the weapon, the weapon's a little bit harder to hit. And honestly, really fun character, but just a little bit harder to master than Wraith, I suppose. But also really strong. A really strong character for sure. So that's all of the heroes explained in Deadlock. If you found that video interesting, let me know. And I'll see you in the comments. Subscribe for more Deadlock content, of course. Yep, cheerio.